People think if you don't argue anymore, you've become weak. They assume you're scared of confrontation, emotionally exhausted, or that you've lost your confidence. Some even label you passive, avoidant, or too calm to care. But psychology says that judgment completely misreads what's actually happening. The truth is, not arguing anymore isn't about silence. The reasons reveal a lot about who you truly are, and why this change deeply unsettles certain people. Let's break down what psychology actually says about why you don't argue anymore, and why that scares some people. 1. Your nervous system has learned the difference between danger and noise. Psychology says this is nervous system regulation. You've been in enough emotionally charged situations to recognize when conflict is just stimulation, not resolution. That matters because a regulated nervous system keeps you in control instead of letting others activate you on demand. 2. You've developed advanced emotional regulation. Psychologists call this response inhibition paired with emotional maturity. You still feel disagreement, frustration, and anger, but you no longer let those emotions decide your behavior. This protects your peace and prevents other people from using your emotions as leverage. 3. You stopped using arguments as a form of validation. Psychology says this reflects a shift in attention and reward processing. Your brain no longer associates being right with being worthy, respected, or safe. That matters because people who rely on conflict for validation feel exposed when you stop feeding that need. 4. Your social wiring has recalibrated. Research shows humans argue most when they feel insecure, unseen, or afraid of losing status in relationships. You've learned that not every connection deserves explanation, justification, or emotional labor. This scares people who used arguments to maintain closeness, control, or relevance in your life. 5. Your thinking has moved beyond compulsive. Overthinking. Psychologists call this cognitive economy. You realize that replaying conversations, crafting comebacks, and mentally rehearsing defenses drains energy without changing outcomes. This matters because clarity and restraint threaten people who are still trapped in mental chaos. 6. Your empathy has become more selective and strategic. Psychology says heightened empathy often leads to intentional silence. You can sense when someone is arguing from stress hormones, wounded identity, or insecurity rather than truth. That awareness protects you from emotional exhaustion and removes you from power struggles before they escalate. 7. Your stress response no longer seeks adrenaline through conflict. Psychologists link this to cortisol and adrenaline regulation. At some point, your body stopped craving the emotional spike that arguments provide and started prioritizing stability. This matters because calm exposes people who are addicted to emotional intensity as a way to feel alive. 8. Your identity is no longer negotiable. Psychology says people with stable self-worth don't need to defend themselves constantly. Your silence communicates that you know who you are, regardless of someone else's opinion. That scares people who relied on provoking you to feel significant or secure. Not arguing anymore doesn't mean you agree. It means you've developed discernment. You understand that not every disagreement is an invitation, and not every challenge deserves access to your nervous system. That level of restraint is often mistaken for weakness by people who haven't learned it yet. So if you're someone who doesn't argue anymore, you're not weak. You're self-aware, emotionally regulated, and grounded in your self-worth. If you want more psychology videos that explain the parts of you nobody talks about, hit that subscribe button right now because the next video might explain why your calm presence unsettles people who live in constant emotional noise.